Hello YouTube, this is Anup and welcome to my channel Carb Vlogs. So in today's video I'll explain you everything about what happens to the food we eat and how does our body utilizes it, So while I take you through this process, I'll also explain a few of the most common terms such as calories, protein, carbs, fat, macros and everything. And I'll be explaining this in most simplest and the easiest way so that you guys can understand and relate to it very easily. So without further ado, let's start this video. Okay, so the food we eat is broken down in so many different components, and the components which gives most of the energy to our body comes under macro, whereas the components which are basically used or which are responsible for the proper functioning of our body come under micros. Such as minerals and vitamins. So minerals and vitamins come under micros, and carbs, protein and fat comes under macros. Now you may ask why these are known as macros and micros, right? So the literal meaning itself is the proper definition of these two terms, because macro means what? Macro means something large, something huge, something big, right? Whereas micro means something less, something small. So if you see, our body needs more energy when compared to minerals and vitamins, right? So all these energy sources come under macros because they are needed more when compared to minerals and vitamins, which are categorized as macros, right? So this is the definition, or this is the only reason why they are known as macros and micros. Okay, now let's talk about calorie, because this is the most common term you would have heard from so many people, those who are dieting, saying that they can't eat this because it has so and so calories, they can't eat something that because it has so and so calories, right? So calorie is nothing but the unit of measuring energy which you get from the food. And as you know that the carb, fat and protein are the major sources of energy. They can be further broken down as in 1 gram of protein and carbs gives us 4 calorie, whereas 1 gram of fat gives us 9 calorie. Now let's break down macros one by one and talk about each of its component. So starting with the carbs, and the carbs is the most easiest and the fastest source of energy which our body can extract. So what happens is when we eat a food, it is broken down into different components, and one of them is a carb. And then this carb is further broken down to form a glucose, and this glucose is then fed into blood, and then blood takes this to various parts of our body. This is the simple logic of how carbs is broken down into glucose. Now what happens is there is a limit of how much glucose a blood can carry at a given point in time. When it exceeds, the remaining glucose is then converted into glycogen. There's a term glycogen, and it is then stored in our muscles. Again, just like blood, even our muscles has certain amount of capacity, or limit to hold this glycogen. Once it reaches this limit, the remaining glucose is then converted to fat, and then they are stored into fat tissues. Okay. Again, this carbs is divided into two different categories. One is simple and complex carb. Now they get this name simple and complex because of its molecular structure. As in, simple carb has a very basic and very simple molecular structure, whereas complex carb has a complex molecular structure. So what happens is when you take a simple carb, you get instant energy because it is broken down very easily because of its molecular structure. Example, I can say a sugar, any of the sugar product, it gives you direct glucose. So what happens whenever you eat anything sweet, directly goes into your blood and you get instant energy. And I hope you must have experienced that whenever you feel a little dizzy or tired, you eat something sweet and then you get instant energy. So that's the best example of simple carb. Talking about the complex carb, it is similar to what simple carb does, but again it takes some time to be broken down and release glucose into our blood. And some of the foods such as brown bread, brown rice, they all come under complex carb. So that's pretty much about the carb. Now let's talk about fat. And now fat has got a very bad reputation. People think, fat is not good for our body. There are a lot of theories saying that fat is this, fat is that. But understand that there are two different types of fat. It is good and bad fat. I can't go into detail now because fat is a very big topic and it requires whole video in itself. So for now, understand that I'll be talking about good fat. So what is fat and what does it do? Fat is again a source of energy and it is very much required because it provides the cushioning to our body parts. You can consider it's like a grease, it does the greasing work in our body. And fat provides energy both in terms of glucose, and there's a term known as ketones. So we know how fat provides energy in terms of glucose, because in carb, the third stage, which was like when our body runs out of glucose from blood and glycogen, it takes energy in terms of glucose from fat tissues, right? So that is one way. Other way is the fat which is stored in the liver. What happens is when our body is deprived of carb, our body needs energy, so it moves to the second choice, which is fat. And this fat is then broken down into ketones, and ketones are then used as an energy source to our body. This is the thumb rule, or this is the principle which is followed in the dieting, where you have to burn your fat. So what happens is, for example, low carb diet or keto diet, we deprive our body of carbs so that our body utilizes fat to get energy, and this process we tend to burn our fat. So this is the whole principle of dieting. And some of the foods which I can say about the fat is oil, ghee, butter. They all come under good fat. Now talking about the third component of macro is protein. Now protein is used majorly to build muscle or to repair the muscle tissues. They are broken down into amino acids and then they are utilized by our body. So this is the major function of protein. And they do provide energy, but then our body doesn't need energy from protein, because most of the energy is provided from the carb. If not carb, it goes to fat, and then our body gets enough energy from fat. So this is everything about macros, guys. And yeah, if I have to say about the food which comes under protein, or which protein rich foods, they are eggs, we have soya chunks, we have dal, we have pulses. All these are very rich in protein. Okay, so that's all about macros, guys. Now coming to micros. Okay guys, talking about the micros, they are very much needed to our body because they help in the proper functioning of our body. And they, as I told you, they comprise of minerals and vitamins, and there are different type of vitamins such as vitamin A, B, D, C. There are so many vitamins, right? And they are very much needed, right, for good skin, for good bone, for a stronger bone, and etc. So the micros doesn't basically provide energy, but yeah, they are again very much needed to maintain the immune system, to maintain the proper functioning of our body. So that's pretty much in this video, guys. I hope this video was informative. I tried my level best to bring down this concept into very layman terms so that it is easily understood by everyone. As usual, do like this video if you like the content. If not, you are more than welcome to let me know what are the areas I can improve, or if you have any questions do comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to reply you all. As usual, take care, be safe, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.